Her feet pounded across the floor of the warehouse.
This is it.
Quark's body bounced in my arms as I ran. His pulse and breathing were normal. He was limp and unconscious, but he was alive. And the pause display had given us a little information on his condition. As far as we could tell, he'd been given an anesthetic, which had put him to sleep.
Ready?
Wait, hold on a sec. What about Luna?
What's wrong? You're supposed to say, yeah, sure.
Is it really okay for us to just leave?
What the hell is this? You want to stay here? What if Luna kills you too?
What?
Think about it. Alice, Clover, Tenmyouji, the old woman, even Dio and Kay. There's a good chance Luna killed all of them.
Okay, let's not jump to conclusions over here, Fi. You know it very well. We could think of the possibility that she killed Dio and Kay for some unknown reason, but we cannot be sure about the rest of them. First and foremost. Second, we have to talk to her, personally. But why?
Why doesn't matter. Remember what we saw on Clover's thigh?
016.
And what's that the same number as?
And the last 3 digits of Luna's product ID.
Where did we find the old woman's corpse?
In the AB room that Luna came out of.
And if you're right, her brain is in the central computer core. That means she could have easily moved that crane, right?
That's true.
She could have used it anytime she wanted.
But still, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was Luna that killed that old woman. I know it. It definitely has to be Dio. But when it comes to Clover and Tenmyouji, though, I cannot say for sure. No, I mean, just because Clover wrote that number in blood doesn't necessarily mean that it was the name of the murderer. I mean, normally that's what people would do if they were close to dying and they wanted the criminal to be found. But still, that means any alibi she might have for not being able to move the crane is worthless.
Exactly. She must have moved the AB room. Alice noticed it right away. At the very least, that would mean Luna had a reason to try and kill Alice.
To keep her quiet. No, that is definitely not it. Not for Alice, no.
She could also have murdered Dio and Kay.
Because she's a robot.
Remember their star keys? Luna must have taken them, which puts her in the room with Dio and Kay. You understand, don't you? I admit none of this evidence is conclusive, but look at our options. You, me, Quark, and Luna. Who do you think is the most likely to be the murderer? Think this through, Sigma. Luna's a golem. That means she's a robot that's part of this facility, designed to do God knows what. If what you said about golems and the central computer is true, she's basically a puppet of Zero Junior's.
Nah. I mean, you can come to that conclusion, but a part of me doesn't believe that she is just a puppet of Zero Juniors or Zero Seniors.
There isn't really much of an argument to be made here. The only option is to leave her here and get out.
No.
Have you ever heard of the 3 laws of robotics?
A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm.
A robot without the 3 laws is just a bunch of metal and plastic.
Okay. You're right. Let's get out of here.
Damn. Don't scare me like that. Okay, I'm going to open it. You ready?
You don't have to ask me. Is that what you always say?
Yeah, I guess so. It's time we got out of here. Let's go.
With a heavy elaborate groan, the number 9 door began to open. As soon as the gap was wide enough to admit her body, Fire slipped through it. I followed her through, Quark still cradled in my arms. Inside was a massive lift platform, like the kind used to move industrial cargo. Fire turned to face me, and I shoved Quark into her arms.
Huh?
Before she could respond, I spun around and ran. Sorry, Fi, but this is definitely not how things are gonna end. This is not it.
The number 9 door has been opened. It will remain open for 9 seconds.
Sigma! What the hell are you thinking? Get back here!
Sorry, Fi. There's something I have to do. Take care of Quark.
No. You don't mean you're going to go find Luna? God damn it, Sigma! Think about what you're doing! Sigma! Listen to me! You can't do this!
The number 9 door has closed. This ends the Nonary Game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked. Escape is not possible. Please enjoy your stay.
I had no regrets. In fact, with finding Quark's successful escape, I felt a profound sense of relief. One of my objectives had been achieved, and a difficult choice had been made. My mind felt clear and focused, more so than it had in a long time. Alright, time to go. Luna's waiting. Luna, I knew you'd be here.
You knew?
Oh, right. We haven't talked here in this one, huh?
Isn't this nice? This is the only place in this whole facility with anything green. I kind of feel silly saying it, but it makes me think of the great outdoors. I think it's the perfect place for a serious conversation. Being surrounded by nature makes me feel happy. I'm not sure what you meant just now, but
We can talk about it on the bench once more. This is a good place for us having a serious conversation.
are you talking about something that happened in another history?
Well,
I know what you can do. Someone told me about it once. They said that you have the ability to transport your consciousness through time.
who told you that? Luna looked down at the music box around her neck. Carefully and delicately, she twisted the dial on the bottom.
Sigma, aren't you here to ask me something? Why I killed them, perhaps?
Well, actually, I already know you didn't do it.
Oh? Why do you think I didn't do it? I'd like to know your reasoning.
Well, you didn't tell us in this timeline, Luna, but I do remember one conversation that we had before. You mentioned the 3 laws of robotics, and one of them is that robots are not allowed to harm humans. Going by that logic, it contradicts the fact that you would kill people in this timeline in the first place. So, it kind of makes me think that they were controlled. It wasn't you who did this. That's my opinion, at least. I don't know if this is just me thinking of an escape out of this to escape from reality or something like that, or if this is actually true or not, but maybe you can tell us. Alright. I nodded and took a moment to compose my thoughts. Might as well start with the old woman. There's no point beating around the bush, I suppose. Dio killed her.
Why do you think so?
Her left arm had blood spatter all the way up to the belt, except for a stripe on the wrist that was perfectly clean. What could have caused that? My guess is a bracelet. It got covered with blood and kept her wrist clean. Obviously, none of our bracelets had blood spatter on them, but Dio's bracelet reacted to the aluminum. That meant Dio's bracelet had to have come from the old woman.
Is that your proof? That's why you think Dio killed her?
Nah, that's only enough to suspect him. After all, he could have just taken the bracelet after someone else killed her.
Then why are you so sure?
Because he confessed.
What?
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself, you know. Sigma has a power that makes his consciousness travel from one timeline to another. He knows from a different timeline that Dio killed her, because he confessed himself too. After his bracelet reacted to the aluminum, I confronted him.
Alright, fine. You caught me, I did it. I killed the old bitch and took her bracelet.
Wait, when did that happen?
In a different timeline.
Isn't that against the rules?
Against the rules? What rules? I hope you're not going to try and bring up Nox's 10 Commandments. Does it really matter if it's against the rules or fair? The truth is the truth. Let's say that Incident P happens, and after that the timeline splits into Timeline A and Timeline B. I don't think it's unfair to base a theory in Timeline A on the information I found in Timeline B. After all, A and B both came from the same place, P. If you trace the history of both timelines, you would end up back at Incident P. Now, if I could change what happened with Incident P by visiting Timeline A or B, then yes, it would be a different story. I don't know that it'd be unfair, per se, but I'd certainly be breaking some pretty big rules here. Like, you know, the principle of causality. I'm sure that Dio killed the old woman. By extension, that means you couldn't have killed her. I'm assuming Dio wasn't originally intended to be part of the Nonary Game. Somehow he got in and took the old woman's place. That's how he ended up as Quark's partner. Not only that, but he is part of the Myrmidons. He's the one responsible for placing the bombs as well. This is just an educated guess. But I have a feeling his plan was to replace one of us. I doubt it mattered which one. I have no idea why he would want to do something like that, and I don't know how he did it either. But the fact remains that he did. He hid in the warehouse on floor 8 and waited for someone to come out of one of the AV rooms. And that someone turned out to be the old woman. She left Quark asleep in the AV room and came out on her own. Somehow, he managed to get close enough to stab her. He did it near the wall with graffiti on it. I'm guessing he stabbed her from behind, so that he wouldn't get any blood on himself. As soon as she was dead, he wrapped the knife up in the handkerchief. No, wait, actually... He probably took the bracelet first. Then he would have needed to wipe... the blood off, so he used the handkerchief for that too. Anyway, sorry for that. The point is, he got the bracelet and put it on. Then he wrapped the knife up and hid it between the rightmost AP room and its neighbor. He probably didn't expect that they'd move, or he would have put it somewhere else. After that, he headed back into the AP room that the woman had left. Quark would have still been fast asleep, so as far as he knew, Dio was there the whole time. This does raise a few other questions, but I'll save those for later. For now, let's move on to the other murders. Well, actually, one of them probably isn't a murder.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about Alice. I'm pretty sure she... Alright, well... Come on, Sigma. It is time for you to gather all of your thoughts from the other timelines. It does seem that your powers are getting stronger and stronger. Your timeline jumping power, so... You should try your best to gather as much information here as possible. Committed suicide.
All of humanity is going to die. Adults, children, everyone. Everyone! There won't be anyone left! I'd rather die here!
She'd been infected with Radical 6. I think that infection caused her to take her own life. She used Dio's knife, which she'd found in the warehouse after the AB moved, and exposed it. She took it with her, and then used it to stab herself in the crew quarters. Next are Clover and Tenmyouji. The first question is, who put the handcuffs on them? And the clue is the message Clover left, 016. If you think about it, though, it doesn't make sense. Clover's left hand was in the handcuffs. That means she would have had to write with her right hand on her right thigh. I feel like it would be really hard to do that, you know? Why not just use her left thigh? When she died, her legs slumped together, and the message got transferred to the right thigh. We just never saw the original because we didn't bother to check the other leg. Huh. Okay. Kind of a stretch, given that we're talking about Phi that looked at her body and all that, but that is indeed a possibility. In other words, she wasn't trying to write 016. She was trying to write Dio. Ah! You gotta be kidding me. Oh my god. I am having like flashbacks over here. It wasn't upside down, but it was horizontally changed the opposite way around. With her dying breath, she was trying to tell us the name of her killer. Now, about K and Dio. I think there's a pretty good chance Dio killed K. Here's how I imagine it happened. K probably sprayed Dio's bracelet with aluminum. We found the bottle in K's robe. He wouldn't have seen the reaction immediately, but Dio would have known what was coming. As soon as K turned the lights off, it would be clear that Dio had taken the old woman's bracelet. My guess is he decided to take preemptive action. When we found their bodies, the lights in the rec room were on. Maybe K turned to switch the light off, and Dio took that opportunity to attack him. K was hurt pretty badly, but he didn't die right away. He probably managed to grab the spear and stab Dio. Then he died. So that accounts for all 6 bodies. None of them were at fault. Huh. It is a possibility. So you're saying that K didn't instantly die there when he got hit with the axe. And with his last remaining strength, he took Dio before he died.
Sigma, I'm glad you don't think I did it, but all of your theories are just, well, theories. Like Alice committing suicide. How can you be sure? Say she was infected with Radical 6. She could have been murdered before her symptoms even began to present themselves.
Well, I cannot say that we have evidence, I think. We're only saying this because of Sigma knowing that Alice killed herself in other timelines. We saw it with our own very eyes that she killed herself with a knife like that.
As for Clover and Tenmyouji, I could easily have killed them. You don't have any proof that Clover's message was mirrored like you say, or even that it was supposed to refer to Dio.
True. It could be a cosmic coincidence that the letters, the numbers 016, which refers to your ID, if they are mirrored, it spells Dio. Still.
Even if it did, that's not conclusive evidence of his guilt.
The fact that we will say that it was Dio that was written. The opposite way around, it would be 016, which again, it is quite coincidental there.
The same goes for Kay and Dio. I could have killed them both. Why do you trust me so much? I'm a machine. I'm part of this place. How can you trust a machine?
That's why I trust you.
What?
I trust you because you're a robot. Your robotness is just one more reason you cannot be the killer. No, 3 more reasons.
Have you ever heard of the 3 laws of robotics?
Rule 1. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm.
A robot without the 3 laws is just a bunch of metal and plastic. Sigma.
I have to ask you. Can you tell me, well, everything you know? Your mind is in the central server. You should know everything that's happened here. There was a long pause. Then I stood up and walked deeper into the garden. I followed her in silence. Eventually, we reached the bench. Luna quietly sat down. And just like last time, I lowered myself down beside her.
You were right. I didn't kill them. How should I explain?
Were you ordered? Were you controlled into killing them?
Well, actually, you got most of it right.
That doesn't matter. Tell me everything.
Well, first, yes, Dio did sneak into the facility. He used the large cargo elevator and came into the warehouse on floor A through the number 9 door. Since the game hadn't started yet, anyone could go through it.
That doesn't really sound like sneaking. It sounds more like she just walked in.
Yes, I guess you could say that.
Although, given how this place is, it didn't really show any signs that anybody else besides that old woman and Zero Sinner were here. It doesn't feel like there had been a lot of people before this Nonary game. So, yeah.
He did get in pretty easily, but that's because Zero Jr. lured him here.
What do you mean?
Dio wasn't a surprise. Both Zeros knew that he was going to come.
I see. Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. They knew that he was gonna arrive here. And it wasn't that much of a surprise. Dio being part of this Nonary game was also part of all of this. So they brought him here.
In a way.
But why?
Because his presence was an important part of Zero's project.
What project?
I can't go into that right now. We'd be here forever. Right now, let's just focus on the murders, okay? Anyway, Dio found his way in. They made sure he didn't know that he was actually being let in.
So why did he come here?
To make sure Zero's project failed. His first step was to pretend to be one of the players. As for how he did that, you had it pretty much right. The old woman was the first one out, and he killed her under the graffiti. He put her bracelet on after he wiped the blood off it with the handkerchief. Then he wrapped the knife up and hid it between the 5th and 6th AB rooms, counting from the left in their original placement.
In other words, the rightmost room would be the 6th room, and the one next to it would be the 5th.
Right. After that, he went back into the 5th AB room where Quark was sleeping. Then he just waited for Quark to wake up.
What were you doing while that was happening?
Nothing. I couldn't do anything. My body had been turned off. Zero Jr. had powered me down. My body wasn't activated until after Dio went into the 5th room. I couldn't help her. All I could do was watch while she was murdered. Everything in this place is controlled by Zero Jr. I couldn't try and prevent Dio from getting in either.
Wait, if Zero Jr. controls everything, and he was the one who moved the 6th room with the crane?
Yes, that's right. Zero Jr. moved the room, not me.
Then who moved the old woman?
Me. It took me 10 minutes to get out of my AB room once I was turned back on. I ran over to check on her as soon as I did. Then I carried her back to the room I'd been in.
Why did you do that?
Because I was ordered to.
Luna, listen to me very carefully. As you already know, the final stage of the project begins in 2 hours. This will be the culmination of many years of hard work. We cannot afford failure.
Yes, I understand.
Then let's make sure. What is your mission?
Enter the Nonary Game as one of the participants and observe the actions of the other players. Ensure that they do what they are supposed to and guide them down the correct paths.
How many players will there be?
Myself and 7 others, ma'am. Will you be participating as well?
Yes, our plan dictates that I must. An individual by the name of Dio will be entering this facility presently. He has been led to believe he is doing so undetected. You've been briefed on him already, correct?
Yes. He will murder the first person to leave one of the AB rooms and take their place. If a pair is the first out, he'll probably kill both of them. That's all the information I've been given on him, ma'am.
Is there a problem?
With all due respect, ma'am, I would like to state that I don't feel right about this. We know someone is going to be killed, and we're just going to let it happen? I also have doubts about the use of Radical 6. Are you sure? Infecting all these people with such a horrible disease.
Your only concern is to follow your orders.
But...
Luna, I am giving you an order. I am in command, and you do as I say. You are programmed to do as I say. You know this.
Yes.
Good. Now, I have one final order.
Another order, ma'am?
Yes. When you leave the AB room, the person Dio has killed will still be there. I would like you to move them.
Where?
To the room you are about to enter, the 6th AB room.
But why?
Not your concern. As a participant in the game, you must have as little knowledge of it as possible. That is why I have made sure you are unable to access any classified data. There are things you must not know. In order for this project to succeed, we need you to be as close to a clean slate as possible. There are some things you already know, which ideally you would not. Unfortunately, this is unavoidable, so you must refrain from divulging anything you know about the project to the other participants. You must never tell anyone what you know about Dio, or the body, or that you carried it to the 6th AB room. You will have to pretend you know nothing more than the rest of the participants.
Is that an order?
Yes. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. After that, I went into the AB room as I'd been told to. As soon as I stepped inside, my body deactivated. But since my brain is in the main computer, I was still awake. So I still saw everything. While I waited, I used the security cameras to see what was going on in the rest of the facility.
And you saw the old woman being murdered.
Yes. It was hard. What I was seeing made no sense. Several of my higher level processes nearly failed. To think that she would be the first person to come out. I think she knew that Dio was going to kill her. When she'd said she had one final order for me, I didn't understand what she meant. Like a fool, I told her I didn't approve, when I had no idea what she was prepared to do. When she died, whatever I have that passes for a heart felt like it snapped in two.
think I understand. Everything you did because you've been ordered to.
Yes.
And it was the old woman who gave you those orders. And is she Zero Senior?
No.
What? But if she gave you the orders...
She did, but she wasn't the only person I took orders from.
Rather, she is working with someone, and that someone is Zero Senior. It was someone else,
Yes.
and that person is Zero Senior.
Yes. They worked together to develop the project she mentioned. So I suppose, technically, my orders came from both of them. And they were both controlling Zero Junior, too. I told you before that Zero Junior moved the 6th AB room. Although that's strictly true, he didn't do it of his own free will. They ordered him to do it. He was following orders just like me.
But why?
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe they did it so that people wouldn't suspect me.
If they didn't want people to suspect you, then why have you moved the body in the first place? Eventually we figured out that the rooms had been moved, and that she was in your room.
Then maybe they wanted the opposite.
You mean...
Maybe they wanted you to suspect me.
That doesn't make sense here. If they wanted people to suspect you, why move the room?
You're right.
Then maybe... You mean like Alice?
Yes.
Also, apologies for this, folks. Apparently my mouse is very... It's acting a lot weirder recently. Like, I think that the left mouse button is a little bit broken in the sense that if I click once, it acts as a double click. And it doesn't respond quite well today, sadly.
Perhaps they wanted Alice to find the handkerchief and the knife. That would explain why they moved the room.
So they somehow knew Dio would hide the knife there?
Yes. I think so.
But how could they know that?
Well, whatever the reasons were, Alice did notice that the room was moved, which meant that Clover also figured it out. And just like you said, Alice used the knife to take her life. Clover didn't realize that, though. Or perhaps she didn't want to. In any event, she decided that I must have killed Alice to keep her quiet. So she confronted me. It was right after the second round of the AB game. Using Phi's timetable, that would be 0 hours, 0 minutes.
Wait. You were listening to us in the security office? Huh. Makes sense. At the time of us solving the security room and looking at the camera feeds, you are still deactivated. Quote-unquote deactivated. So, at that point, you were once again able to see through the cameras in the facility once more.
Yes. That wasn't all I was listening to, though. I know everything that happened in the facility after my body collapsed.
You were watching through the security cameras.
Yes, I was. I could see and hear everything. Anyway, we're at 0 hours, 0 minutes. I was in the hallway on floor A when Clover found me and took me to room 2 in the crew quarters. We entered at about 0 hours, 1 minute. She was very forceful.
I know you killed Alice. Tell me the truth and I'll let you live. Now fess up! I'm only gonna give you one chance. If you lie or try to play dumb or something, I'll kill you right in front of her!
I told her the truth, of course. I explained that I hadn't killed Alice, that she'd been infected with Radical 6, and it had caused her to kill herself. Clover was never going to believe that, though. We argued about it for nearly 9 minutes. It wasn't just Alice she asked me about. She asked me about the murder of the old woman and about the AB room being moved. She wasn't very nice about it, but I couldn't answer any of her questions.
Because of your orders.
Yes. Then, at about 0 hours, 10 minutes, she must have run out of patience. She stuck her hand in her pocket and started moving toward me. She backed me up against the wall and pulled her hand out of her pocket. She was holding the injection gun. I tried to take it away from her. I even screamed for help. She refused to let go, of course, while we were fighting over it.
Whoa, hold on a minute. The trigger got pulled in a fight. I get that part. What I don't understand is why it did anything to you.
You mean because I'm a golem?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I still don't know how golems work. I mean, golems are 100% robots, but they also have the ABT skin, so I don't know how that would affect the system inside of your body. Yeah.
One of my orders was always to act like I was one of the players, a human. Any human injected with that amount of tubocurarine would die.
I see. So basically it did nothing to you. However, because you had to act like a human, you had to fake it. Your orders was to act like a human no matter what, so you deactivated yourself because of this. And that's why you died, quote unquote, to keep up the facade that you were human.
No. I collapsed because Zero Jr. turned off the power to my body again. He probably felt he had to. Maintaining the illusion that I was human was probably in his orders too. So to make it look like I had died, he turned the power off. Whatever the case, it was an accident. I don't think Clover ever intended to actually kill me. She only took the injection gun to try and threaten me.
How can you be sure?
When I collapsed, she looked terrified. She checked for my pulse and listened to see if I was breathing. She also shook my body and called out to me several times. If she'd meant to kill me, why do all that? After a few moments, she ran off to the infirmary to get the AED.
You mean the defibrillator?
Yes,
That uses an electric shock to restore the heart, right?
correct.
So that was why she left.
Yes.
At 0 hours, 11 minutes, 40 seconds, Clover left the cabin in the crew quarters.
She ran off toward the infirmary. On the way, she bumped into Dio.
Dio.
Yes. I guess she just saw him, really. They didn't talk. She just ran past.
And you just watched her go by?
Yes. I imagine he was curious, of course. He probably wondered what she was doing. But he chose not to go after her. He had something else to do.
At 0 hours, 12 minutes, Dio enters the room.
He seemed pretty surprised to find my body.
Yeah, I bet.
It didn't take him long to get over it, though.
Wouldn't imagine it would. What did he do then?
He'd gone there for 2 reasons. One was to get Alice's bracelet, which was a blue solo.
Right. Without it, Dio and Kay, the ill pair, wouldn't be able to get through the secondary door. Right?
Yeah, but he couldn't find it.
Of course. Fi had already taken it by then.
Yes, but there was something else he wanted to do too. He was there to take the knife. Removing it was gruesome.
But why did he want the knife? Just so that nobody would suspect that Dio is part of the Myrmidons. Was it because he used it to kill the old woman?
No, I don't think so.
And what do you think?
I think he didn't want anyone to see the engraving on the knife's blade. That's why he hid it so well after he killed the old woman.
Why wouldn't he want anyone to see that?
Do you remember what it said? There was a word engraved on the blade.
Myrmidons?
Yes.
What does Myrmidons mean?
It's the name of the organization he belongs to.
What is it, like a club or something?
I don't think so.
Well, what is it then?
I don't really know.
No idea.
I'm afraid not.
Or you were ordered to, or you were programmed to not talk about this. You don't really have the information to access it. You cannot access that information. Wait, wasn't he there to try and stop whatever Zero was doing?
Yes.
Then... Wouldn't that mean that he is on our side? Nah, not quite. It's like we are stuck between two sides over here.
I don't know about that.
Between two sides at war.
He's killed 4 people. I'm not really sure he's on anyone's side.
Yeah, I got a point. Damn it, this is ridiculous. I guess this enemy of my enemy isn't my friend, huh?
May I continue?
Yeah, keep going. After he took the knife, Dior rifled through what few belongings Alice had. Luna said he didn't seem to be looking for anything in particular. He was probably just checking to see if she had anything useful. That was where he found the key to K's suit. He didn't seem to have any particular reason for taking it, at least as far as Luna could tell. At 0 hours 13 minutes, Theo left the room.
He heard Kay opening the cyan door and ran out. When he left, he was heading toward the infirmary. My guess is that he was going after Clover. He found her with the AED. She was probably planning to just ignore him and head back, but Theo didn't let her.
Hey, wait. Just what are you planning to do with that thing? Thinking about trying to resuscitate Luna? And why would you want to do that? You were the one who killed her, weren't you?
When Clover tried to push past Dio, Luna said they began to fight.
The fuck do you think you're doing?
Dio pulled a knife out of his pocket and pointed it at Clover's throat. And that was when he showed up.
Dio, what the hell are you doing?
None of your goddamn business. Stay out of this, you senile old shit.
Like hell, you son of a bitch!
He let out a yell and leapt toward Dio. The younger man dodged him easily and lashed out with the knife. Tenmyouji caught Dio's hand with a grunt, and for a moment the two men struggled. Then, as the knife edged closer, he wrapped his other hand around the blade and tried to force it away. But Dio was a much younger and stronger man, and the wound Tenmyouji gave himself with the knife didn't do him any favors. He put up a valiant fight, but with a roar, Dio threw him off, and Tenmyouji collapsed to the floor.
What are you going to do?
Let's see. How about this? How cute. You two really look great together, you know?
What are you going to do to us?
Isn't it obvious? I'm gonna handcuff you to a sink. Actually, I already have.
Are you gonna beat us to death or something?
Ugh, no. Nothing so tasteless.
What are you going to do then?
How'd you like to make a bet?
A bet?
You've got, 20-some minutes until the primary white doors open. So I'd say you've got 25 minutes until they close, give or take. If somebody happens to come by here before the doors close, you might live. But if nobody finds you, well...
We'll be penalized.
Exactly. So, I suggest you start screaming for help now. Unfortunately for you, just about all the rooms in this place are behind at least 2 nice thick doors. So unless they're pretty close, nobody's gonna hear you scream. Well, I'm off to the Floor B warehouse, okay? Enjoy your last 25 minutes. Later.
25 minutes passed and no one came. Of course, by then there were only 3 other people who could have come, apart from Dio.
You mean me, Fi, and K, right?
Yes. You were in the crew quarters at this point.
Yeah. Kay had told us about you. We'd also noticed that the knife in Alice's chest had been removed. If only we'd known what was happening in the infirmary.
Unfortunately for Clover and Tenmyouji, their time had come. Once the primary white door closed, both of their bracelets injected them with Soparil.
The anesthetic, right?
Yes. Almost immediately they started to feel sleepy. I think that's when Clover realized she was definitely going to die. That was when she decided to leave her message. Just as you said, she wrote on her left thigh with her right hand.
And the word she wrote was Dio.
Yes. As for what happened in the rec room, well, I guess I don't really need to tell you. Your theory was essentially correct. What you said was what happened.
So Kay sprayed Dio's bracelet with aluminum, and then while his back was turned, Dio attacked him with an axe. Dio mortally wounded him, but didn't kill him, so Kay turned around and stabbed Dio with a spear. And I guess that's when we found them.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. So I guess Sigma's theory is actually true in the end. Didn't take that into account. Mostly because I didn't think that Kay getting hit with the axe in the back wouldn't be an instant death. He still had some strength left in him to resist for a little while. When did Kay get the luminol?
After they went through the white door, Dio and Kay found themselves in the director's office. When they were done there, they headed back to floor A to look for everyone else. They went to the crew quarters first, then to the infirmary. Of course, they found Clover and Tenmyouji's bodies there. Dio expected to find them, of course, but he pretended to be shocked. Anyway, Kay checked them over for anything useful.
And that was when he found the luminol.
Right. That's everything that happened.